joining us right now from The Athletic, Samuel Amick. Good morning, Sam. Is that a little better?
A little better, buddy. The old Canadian phone tower is not helping us out here, but we should be good.
What are you doing in Canada?
Put that down on the list.
It's nice this time of year. Thought I'd come out and check out little Toronto in the off season. What are you gonna do?
Let me write this down. We've been compiling a list because I don't think we're talking about Raptors Warriors, but we haven't really been playing up USA versus Canada enough. So far we have a boot. All the syrup. They're really pompous about their syrup. Drake, Nickelback, Justin Bieber, the metric system. Rick Fox, who I didn't even know was Canadian, Andrew Wiggins, and now we're adding Canadian cell phone towers. So they're all reasons to dislike Canada. Sam, is Anthony Davis, can David Griffin pull this off? Is there truly any shot on paper? Man, Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle, perhaps. That looks like a pretty damn good situation. Is Griffin out of his mind? Is he doing due diligence, or is there a real shot here?
I think he's probably out of his mind, but I can't pretend to have clarity from the Anthony Davis camp within the last, couple of weeks. I mean, they had said initially when the Pelicans hired Griffin that their stance was definitely not changing. And so, I don't think it's going to change, but, all of a sudden Zion becomes a real thing and AD, chews on it. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? The example everybody always brings up is the Kobe demanding a trade, and then the Lakers didn't move him, and the rest is history. So, but that's also LA in a very different landscape.
Game 1 tonight in Toronto. Obviously, that's why you're out there. Golden State and the Raptors. DeMarcus will play in Game 1. Obviously, Kevin Durant won't play in Games 1, and it looks like Games 2 at least. Now, how do you work back in Cousins? He'll come off the bench, I'm sure, but is that playing with a little bit of fire for Steve Kerr when you're experimenting, I guess is the right word, with your lineups in the middle of a finals, especially when you've won five straight? Does that present an extra set of challenges for Steve Kerr?
Yeah, big time. I mean, DeMarcus as well as anybody in the media, and I think that it's funny, if you listen to Steve and some of his talking points going into Game 1, it seems pretty clear to me that he was trying to establish, kind of a tone that DeMarcus very possibly might not play very much at all, that he's not going to mess around, because of the stuff you alluded to, the idea that you could, you have one bad run because you put DeMarcus on the floor and he's not able to kind of find his legs and fit in quickly enough. And not only that, but Kevon Looney's been playing really well. And you've seen Steve all of a sudden really talking Looney up. And I'm not saying that it's disingenuous. I think it's real. But I do think it serves kind of a dual purpose where it's sending that message that, that Kevon Looney might not be the name that DeMarcus Cousins is, but he's a guy who was really good for them in the Houston series, a guy who was good again in the Portland series, and a guy who I don't think Steve is all that interested in taking off the floor, more than he has to.
Can I ask? I'm going to ask you a stupid sports radio question, and that's total speculation, but in your heart of hearts, do you think, obviously wanting everybody to be happy and healthy, but do you think this is a problem Steve Kerr, people say, well, it's a good problem to have. Honestly, I mean, do you think, is it almost like Steve Kerr is forced to be in this position and he really just rather DeMarcus not be ready in his heart of hearts?
I mean, I can't obviously speak for him, but right. I mean, there is that feeling. I think I said this earlier, that again, this is just me talking.
Yes.
And certainly I haven't talked to Steve, other than a media setting in a little while now. But if you could be Steve Kerr and do a deal with the devil and then say, hey, I guarantee you the championship right now, no drama, no anticipation, no nerves, you have it. I give you the title, but you will not play not only DeMarcus Cousins but also Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And you'll have to deal with the consequences of hurting, offending them. He might take that deal, because a three-peat's a big deal, and championships are a huge deal. And, I think Steve is going to do whatever he's got to do to secure that.
Isn't it? And it's it's got to be an unprecedented situation where you have a top 2 player in the game, and then up until he got injured, a top 2 center in the game, and everything you just said, Sam, about the three-peat being a big deal, 4 and 5, et cetera. Plus, by the way, it's a championship. That in itself is a big deal. And also, there's probably really good odds that neither of those guys are going to ever play for the Warriors again after this season. He's got all kinds of weird stuff happening.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not only that, but, this series, to me, basketball-wise, is plenty interesting on its own, right?
Yeah.
But then you talk about the free agency implications on both sides. Now, I wrote about Kawhi Leonard, for a story that just came out this morning. But what's different about Kawhi and his situation is I truly don't believe that the outcome of the finals is going to impact Kawhi's choice. And this is, I've certainly not been told this 100%, but
Sure.
There's still so much noise that he's going to leave even if they win. Kevin, to hone in on, excuse me. Sorry, buddy, little playoff cough there.
That's okay.
Kevin, there's all these scenarios in play that I do think could impact the way he feels about his Warriors experience and what he does when July rolls around. Because if the Warriors go up a couple games without him, and then he comes back and they're not the same and they drop a couple games, well, guess what the narrative is? He messed them up.
All right.
Or it could go the other way. And maybe he can save the day if they're down and he comes back. And so next thing you know, he's all warm and fuzzy for the Warriors. And that has a ripple effect. I mean, that part of it is going to be really interesting to monitor during the series.
I mean, really, the dream scenario for Kevin Durant, if we're being selfish here for Kevin, is the Warriors to go down 2-0, even 3-0, and for him to come back and be the savior. It doesn't sound like it's going to happen,
right.
But that's his dream scenario.
It is. I mean, the other scenario is that, I don't have anybody guaranteeing me that he's going to play in the finals at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's.
I don't think he's going to play, Sam. I don't think he's going to play unless it goes 6 or 7. And this is just me here. I think they've downplayed this injury from the jump. And you hear all kinds. I know you hear the whispers too, but dude, it does not sound like this is a guy getting ready to jump back into an NBA Finals.
Well, I mean, they emphasized yesterday the fact that he's not on the court yet.
Right.
He's got to get practice time, and I got eyes on him for about 2.5 seconds yesterday as he was leaving the arena, and can't make too much of it, but certainly his normal gait was he was walking fairly gingerly, and he's not. I mean, this is a high impact game, and this is the biggest stage on the planet for this sport, and this is no place. I mean, it's kind of like the Cousins thing. It's no place to kind of find your sea legs again when everything's on the line.
Last thing on the final, Sam. Kyle has said something. It was either on social media or on this show yesterday. I get it mixed up, but it caught my eye. Is this the best team the Warriors have faced in this title run?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, the Cavs fully healthy, with LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love. I mean, those are really good teams. I know they're kind of roundly ridiculed, but they're good teams. This one, the depth is on a different level. You're not talking about Matthew Dellavedova or Richard Jefferson. All due respect, these are high-level bench players, guys that can go cold for months on end, and then all of a sudden heat up and hit shots like Fred VanVleet and Norm Powell and guys like that. The OG Anunoby injury situation is, I think, important as part of their depth, and but it's a good squad, and they added Marc Gasol at the trade deadline, and he's been a wonderful fit, and I think he's a key player in this series in terms of his ability to not get played off the floor is going to be big, which the Warriors, that should be one of their objectives, is to expose Mark defensively, just in terms of the action they run and having him, chase these shooters all around the perimeter. He's not really something he can do. So, but they're deep, and Kawhi legitimately is playing like the best player on the planet, and what he's doing is incredible. But then Kyle Lowry's coming up big too. So a lot of layers to it. But yeah, I think it's a really good team.
All right, last thing, and this is so unfair. I'm going to take you from Toronto, NBA Finals, Kawhi, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, 3 of the top 5 players in the entire NBA. And I'm going to ask you about Jesse Mermis, Roy Rana, and Bob Byer. It looks like the Sacramento Kings have hired 3 assistant coaches. They're retaining Bobby Jackson, who will be assistant coach and player development as well. Sounds like Bobby, from everything I'm hearing, is actually going to have a real voice in those meetings this year as opposed to in the past. So I'm not going to ask you to break down these assistant coaches, but I will say, hey, 5 weeks, 6 weeks after the hiring, it looks like the Kings are starting to put together their assistant coaching staff. There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny. The natural segue there that you missed, buddy, is it was right there on the plate for you. It was the Bana hire, and now I'm getting insecure and forgetting. Did I get the last name? It's Roy
Rana, R-A-N-A.
I'm just going to own it. So I'm exposing the fact that, man, there's this coach that was, roundly respected, and then who wasn't on my radar. He's coach of the under-17 Canadian national squad. But I tell you what, when I tweeted that the other day, it was like all of Canada rejoiced. They loved this man, and they raved about him. He was Canada Twitter is different in terms of just the geography and what's trending in different parts of the world and the way that Twitter works, right?
Right.
I was kicking myself for not writing an actual story as opposed to tweeting, because that news that Roy was going to the NBA was trending for like 10 hours.
You missed the hits.
Incredible.
You missed all those hits, Sam.
But man, not even just Canadians, but around the NBA, that was the move that seemed to get people's attention the most. But it is obviously a sign that they're building the staff, and that in the wake of Luke Walton and the allegations that are still there, and the investigation continues, certainly, but they're not going to kind of have the basketball business be on hold.
Sam Amick actually broke the news, if I remember correctly, that the assistant coaches were hired by the Sacramento Kings, and you can read Sam and all his breaking news. I mean, gosh, while the guy's doing the NBA Finals and covering the entire world of basketball, he's still breaking news here locally. That's theathletic.com. Kyle, they say it's 1 month subscription. It's less than
a drink at your local watering hole.
Drink at a local watering hole. Less than a large pizza, even at a lower-end chain, by the way. Also,
less than the ante during a poker game sometimes.
Depends on where you're playing. Actually, less than a Saturday night at the movies. Easily.
He missed it, Kyle. He missed it.
You missed it?
I think he did.
Yeah.
But Sam, you caught it, and that's all I wanted.
Wait, roll back. Wait, say it again. Hold on. I was too busy thinking about something else.
I made a poker joke.
Oh, because
I caught it.
You know what? I just honestly...
Jay and Sam got it, which is honestly all I need.
As innocent as I am, I actually just thought you were making up a thing about poker. I didn't even think you were about calling me fat.
Here you go, Dave. I'll hit you over the head with it. It's less than a gym membership.
Oh, jeez.
Sam
That's
Amick,
a fact, by the way.
Sam Amick writes for The Athletic, one of the worst websites in the entire world for sports coverage. But hey, waste your money if you want. Sam will join us again next Thursday.
Sam, have some poutine for me.
At 8:05.
I did last night, Kyle. You're good. You're good.
Excellent.
Really clear.
Have fun out there,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys.
We'll talk to you next week.
Yep.